My name is Liz Gabert, and my story begins in the Baptist Bible Belt of West Texas. I married a Catholic man, and together we raised 3 children internationally. Through my travels and experiences, my Jewish faith became secondary to everyday life. Now, after some incredibly powerful events that transpired recently, I'm at a place and time in my life to delve into my Jewish faith. I invite you to join me on this journey where I and an amazing array of weekly guests will enlighten you about the faith, people, and innovations that have shaped Israel and the Jewish people's rich history. Welcome to A Journey to Milk and Honey.
Hi there, and welcome to A Journey to Milk and Honey. Thank y'all for joining me today. You know, I am just so excited as today I have the pleasure of introducing y'all to Dave Silverman. Dave is a very Boston-born secular Jewish man whose adventures began way back in 1974 when he spent a year, we would call it a gap year today, on a kibbutz in Israel. That experience led Dave to make Aliyah to Israel, serve bravely as an IDF medic, and settle into a life in Israel where he raised 4 amazing children. His story is one of bold moves, deep roots, and a heartfelt connection to Israel. Later in the episode, we'll spend some time with Dave's wife, Tamara, to hear her perspective on their journey together. So hold tight and I'll be right back with Dave and Tamara. Hey there, just a quick reminder before we get started that if you want to connect with us, you can find our website at journeytomilkandhoney.com or jmhpodcast.com. And you can find us on YouTube at JMH Podcast or A Journey to Milk and Honey. You can also find us on Facebook at Journey to Milk and Honey. You can find us on all other major social media platforms at JMH Podcast. And if you enjoy what we do here at A Journey to Milk and Honey, you can help support us by liking, subscribing, and leaving us comments and reviews wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thank you for joining me. Hey, Dave. Thank you for joining me today. How are you?
Well, fine. It's nighttime now here, actually.
What time is it in Israel?
A few minutes after 8 o'clock. It's very dark out.
Very good.
Nice and warm.
Nice and warm. Okay. I'm in New Hampshire, and it's cool and wet here right now, but I appreciate you jumping in with me. So, you ready to get started?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, Dave, we're going to start from the beginning. So, you grew up in Boston, right?
Yeah. West Roxbury. Section in Boston.
Hey, what is it again? Hey, Boston's Boston to me.
Oh, different boroughs. You got Hyde Park, you got Rosendale. I'm from West Roxbury.
Okay, there we go. Okay, see, Boston's Boston to someone like me, but you were born and raised there. So your family, what kind of Jewish household did you grow up in?
Well, in the old days, we would call it conservative, but actually we're more like reformed.
Okay.
We drove places on Saturdays. We weren't observant of the Shabbat. My mother would light candles on Friday night, and she'd do the blessing over bread sometimes. But basically, it's on a low burner. Started
Okay.
Judy.
Okay. All right. So let me ask this question because we're talking the 60s, maybe early 70s. We didn't have internet back then. We didn't have much of anything back then.
We made great music.
That is true. That one I will agree with. Absolutely. But relative to Israel, did your family have any connection to Israel? Did you even know where it was on the map?
I mean, I was Jewish. I knew our roots were from Israel, and actually went to Hebrew school. We learned about Israel, but we wouldn't talk about our family. Israel wasn't a part of that conversation when it came to Judaism. We were Jewish. We didn't think much about our homeland.
Yeah, that's what I thought. The same here. That's why I was just thought I'd ask. You grew up a little bit more, believe it or not, religious than I did. But in the day, I would have heard of Israel, and that would have been the extent of it, just to be honest with you. But you graduate high school in 1974, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And now the big life begins, does it not? So you are unsure of what you want to do, or maybe you do know what you want to do, but it took a different path. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, basically, high school, I wasn't sure if I wanted to go to college or not. My mother said I was getting in trouble a lot, but we were 6 boys and 2 girls, and we were growing up in the west part of Boston. And my mother said she'd get me out of America for a year or so to a place like Israel. where she had friends that had sent their children to Israel and come back and really enjoyed themselves. And they grew up there, they matured, and now are in college and so forth. And she asked me if I want to give that a try. It's like my first plane ride in my life, and away from the family's influence and in a foreign country, and sounds good to me.
Sounds good to you at 18 years old. So it was what they call now a gap year. You were going to take a gap year to try to figure things out. Yeah. So you jump on this airplane and you head to Israel. And this is a planned kibbutz experience. Was that what this was about?
Yeah, it's communal farm. It's called kibbutz. We work all day in the fields, very early in the morning because it's so hot here, very hot over here. So you start very early in the morning and finish mid-morning. That was your work day. And we'd learn Hebrew in the afternoons, and that's the life.
So you volunteered in the morning. What did you do? What did you do?
Well, I worked in the cotton. I worked in the melons. I worked in irrigation, all over the fields, picking melons and picking avocados, picking. Every season had fruit. Citrus in the winter, avocados in November. Cotton was picked in the into the summer. It dried up on the branches.
Did you enjoy this? Was this a fun?
I love picking up big heavy pipes and moving them over to the next row to water the fields overnight time, and driving tractors. I was getting in great shape. I had a great tan. I was meeting people from all over the world. I'm mature. I really grew up there. Yeah.
But wow, what a big jump. That's pretty brave. I'm pretty impressed, I got to say. So then you spent the year there and it was time to come back, correct?
Yeah.
You headed back to Boston. What'd you do when you came back to Boston after that year?
Well, when I came back from Boston to Boston, my father had already signed me up for the engineering school, but he knows I was good at math. I was good with my hands, and I'd probably make a good engineer. And he signed me up for Wentworth Institute, right next to Northeastern University in Boston. And I started school right away. 2 days after I got off the plane, I was already in school already.
Oh my God.
Just a shock.
You didn't know about this, really?
He told me in the ride home from the airport to home, he told me all about what he had done. He said, "What do you think? You want to give it a try?" I said, "Give it a try for you." I sent all your paperwork over there, everything you need. They okayed it. So I went along with it.
That's amazing. So you jump into the school. It's an engineering school, correct?
Yeah. Building construction engineering.
Okay. And how did that work out for you?
The first couple of months it was okay, learning about building, carpentry, and tensile strength of materials and so forth. And then it started getting very cold. I said, "Oh boy!" Along with the winter, fall, winter, Boston winter, it was really cold.
So, come on, you're used to that.
I was still tan. I was like my tan was fading. My blonde hair was being cut off, so I was getting very homesick for Israel. I was very homesick for Israel. If you talk to a lot of people who come here, they all say the same thing. They said it just bites and grabs you. And you can't leave. You leave, but you always come back.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So how long did you stay in school?
Till the end of the first semester.
What semester?
One semester. I walked down to the Israeli embassy and asked them what kind of engineers they would need in 5 years. But when I graduate, I always wanted to hear Hebrew and see Israelis and talk to Israelis. And that's when I decided to join this group.
Tell me about this group, because this is what changed everything, right?
Yeah, because there was a guy in the waiting room when I got there today. He asked me what I was doing. I told him, I just told you, I'm here to ask the people here in the council what kind of engineers they'll need in 5 years. And he said, "Forget about that. Why don't you just join my group? We're leaving in February, in a couple of months, to a place called the Galilee, which is in northern Israel. We're going to build Jewish villages amongst the Arab villages in the Galilee to balance things off." And boom, I joined that group back in Israel in February.
Oh, what did your parents think of this?
My father thought I was joining a cult. My mother was happy with me. It's not a cult, Dad. He sent me to Israel. I fell in love with Israel. I'm going back with this group to help build Israel. It was the year after the Yom Kippur War.
Wow.
Yeah, people in Israel, they were very, very excited about building the state all over again and strengthening our borders. It was a very exciting time to be here.
So what year was this then?
75.
Okay, 75.
February of 76, I was back here.
Oh, February 76. You go back to Israel and you're in construction, right?
No, it wasn't really in construction then. I went back to build this group where we were building little sheds on the hilltop, basically. The government dropped off these big cement, like prefabricated houses for us. And we all went on like jobs in the meantime in the area. Until I arrived with my motorcycle, I shipped my bike over. I was mobile. So I was able to go to all the surrounding towns looking for jobs and carpentry jobs and picture framing jobs or irrigation back there. I went back to the fields for a while. And I was able to travel all around Israel on a bike, having a good time.
You shipped your motorcycle over?
Yeah.
That's great. It's awesome. And so you do this work for quite some time, right? How long did you continue?
2 years.
2 years. Okay.
Yeah.
And then what happened next?
The group sort of broke up. It's a long story, but the government sent an official that broke us up. He said the singles don't show stability. We were the singles who built the group, and the couples show stability, and they want to build their permanent homes. Just get rid of the singles. All the singles left. And 4 of us went down to Jerusalem, 4 guys.
Okay.
Took an apartment, and we decided to join the army because the law says that when you make Aliyah, when you immigrate to Israel, you have 1 year, you have up to 1 to 2 years to decide when to go into the army. So we all decided to go to the army together.
Okay. All right. How did that work for you?
It was also very exciting and different being a soldier. But then the reality sunk in, doing duty in the West Bank, Jordan Valley, catching terrorists coming across from Jordan at nighttime, ambushes, and then fighting in Lebanon at the time, before the first Lebanese war.
Okay.
We were making raids into Lebanon, trying to catch terrorists.
What was your role? What was your official duty?
I was a medic.
You were a medic. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And my son's now a medic now as well. My father was a medic. I was a medic. My son's a medic.
Oh my goodness. Because I heard again in a different podcast, that is not really what you had wanted to do, but something happened and changed your path.
Yeah. I had a big accident.
I had to ask you about it. Yeah, you had a pretty bad motorcycle accident, yeah?
Yeah. Couple of really bad ones, yeah.
Yeah. You wanted to be a paratrooper, is that right?
Yeah. My guys were on the group that I started the army with, they went on to become paratroopers.
Yeah.
After the accident, they said, you become a truck driver or a medic. I said, I'll take the medic.
Yeah. So you saw some dangerous situations, did you not, for your 2 years?
Yes. Well, a few. We had a couple of hairy situations at nighttime. I lost a couple of friends that were killed in an ambush. Then, of course, Lebanon. The wars, and
Always.
My reserve duty up there at the mark. So I saw a lot of action.
Okay. So you were in there for 2 years, and this had to be life-changing for you. You're still pretty young at this point. It had to be quite life-changing, I would imagine. So you come on out, and what comes next?
So I came out of the army. I decided what we're going to do. I was on kibbutz the last 6 months of my armyship. They said, put you on kibbutz, humanize yourself,
And
readjust to society. And it's a long story, but I'll make it brief. I got into hairdressing. I started cutting hair, liked it. Moved out to Jerusalem and worked in a shop for a bunch of British guys, and went to London, studied hairdressing, the more advanced hairdressing, and started cutting hair.
it's just a great part of your story. Who would have thought? Thank you for being brief, but I think there was a lot to that. But you must have been very good at what you did.
And I always good with my hands, carpentry, building things, building motorcycles, cutting hair, painting stuff. So I'm always good with my hands.
But that took you very far, obviously, in life. You must have been very good at what you did. And so during all of this is now a number of years, you're cutting hair and you meet somebody. You meet a woman, right?
Yeah.
And you get married. Do you not?
Got married. She married. She decided she wanted to go to Boston. She wanted to get a degree in Boston at the New England Conservatory of Dance and Music. And I worked on Newbury Street, downtown. It was a very fancy street in Boston. And that fell apart very quickly. She was very whimsical. We got divorced after a couple of years.
Yeah.
That was it. It was over.
Brief stint. And that happens, definitely. So what happened after that? What'd you do next? You're in Boston at this point.
I don't know for a while. Another couple of years. I had a brother who was dying of AIDS. So I tried to stick around for him to the end, but in the end, he didn't die for a while. He said, Dave, I know you love Israel. Just go back to what we want to be. Go back to Israel. I'll be fine. And
so you continued working as a hairdresser there, and then a little bit of time passes. And here is where, if your wife, Tamara, is available, I would love to have her jump in right now. Can we do that?
Yeah.
Sure.
Is it doing?
This is a perfect time for us to meet you, Tamar, and to chat about what came next in y'all's life. I'm so excited about this. We had to get you both in there. And if we can. There you go.
There.
How old are you at this point when y'all meet, Dave?
I was 38.
38. And you're he robbed the cradle, did he not, Tamar?
Yeah, I think the cradle was secure. Good bed. It's nice double bed. I'm just joking.
Oh, y'all are just a really pretty couple. So how did y'all meet? Just out of curiosity. Either one can answer.
I needed to do my hair. My friend brought me to the best hair salon in Jerusalem. And I met Dave and I thought, really cute. And I ended up, we sat and had coffee and talked. I didn't do my hair that day. I came back another day to do it. But first, we had a lot of fun.
I fell in love right away, and I was attracted right away.
So this was the question. So for Dave, this was almost love at first sight, was it not?
It was, but I could tell the way she was dressed. And the friend that brought her into the salon was also an observing Jew. She's an observing Jew, probably doesn't kiss. You can't touch her. You can't hug her or anything.
It's true. I was more dressed the part of a more observant Jew. And I was also very much dating and looking for a new partner. And one of the topics for Dave and I at the time, we were both having these kind of not very satisfying dating experiences. And I think that was interesting to both of us, that we were both like just not really finding what we wanted elsewhere. So that made us attractive to each other.
Yeah.
And when I started to ask David how he felt, after a couple times hanging out, I started to ask him how he would feel about observing the Sabbath or eating kosher. And I think that he had thought things weren't working out for him so great being a non-observant Jew. So he thought maybe he'd give it a whirl. Maybe things would work out better. That was something that he had said back then.
The funny part is our first kiss was under the mistletoe at friend's Christmas party.
That's true.
Wait,
that was the only thing. He had all these friends that were not observant. And around the time that there was like 2 Friday nights, 2 Sabbath nights. And they were around my birthday, around in December, like a Christmas Eve and a New Year's and my birthday. So we were going out on these Friday nights with his friends who were not observant. But I was showing him that I could be cool too, as long as things are.
And my friends who were my age or older saying, "What's with the young religious chick?" She's my platonic female friend.
So how long did it take before y'all got married?
Not long.
Oh, no, answer the question.
Once a year from charming man.
It's not, come on, that's reasonable.
And no, I think it was a lot faster than that. We really wanted to. Now, once we decided that we were going out, I was very deeply in love with David, and we were very interested in starting a household.
Sure.
And for me, I didn't mind living together and all of that, but I really wanted to, if we're going to start a household, we're going to also get married.
I'm sure your parents appreciated that as well.
Get engaged to divorce, secular hairdresser.
They were still in America. I was making a new life for myself in Israel.
I see. Okay.
I came after college with some work experience. I knew I was going to settle down, maybe go back to school. My parents were happy. We told them they should come to visit and we would have an engagement party. And then when it all started happening and they decided to make a trip, and this was very new back in the day, for my brother to come and visit, for my parents to come and visit, for my cousin to come and visit, it felt like such a big deal that we just said, we'll just make a wedding. Let's just make a wedding. So that was part of the fun of it.
Yeah.
We'd made a wedding instead of a visit.
Instead of what?
Over the years, my parents come and visit a lot more often, and
It's great.
other people come and visit. But back then, 32 years ago,
Sure.
it felt like such a big deal to make a visit to Israel that we didn't think that people would do it so often. We didn't have the email, we didn't have the computer and the email and the internet and buying plane tickets quickly like that. It was a really big deal.
Very different time, no doubt about it. We're going to move ahead quickly because, good grief, y'all end up with 4 children together, do you not? And this must have cranked out pretty quickly, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Three quickly, and then a 7-year break, and then a 4th one.
Okay, so 4 kids. You have one. The oldest is a girl, and then 3 boys. Is that correct?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. All right. Now your oldest is 30-something years old, correct?
29, 27, and 20. Everyone's very busy. Everyone's got full, interesting lives going on. The 29-year-old is married with a 1-year-old. And
Congratulations.
his wife. They're both partly school, partly working. And he also is serving currently in the army.
Okay. Okay. And then that's your oldest daughter. And
As the oldest son. The oldest daughter, she works as an artist and art teacher. Yeah, she's 30. She works as an art teacher and a photographer.
And has a master's in art education.
oh, that's very cool. So there's the oldest 2. Then you have 2 more. So what are they doing right now?
So Gabby is a swim coach and was training to swim for the Olympics of 2028 in California. And Yost in the Army now. He's in his radio service. Just started 6 weeks ago.
Your 20-year-old.
And hobbies include he's an avid mountain bike rider, bicyclist. So when he's home on break, he likes to take long bike rides.
And I hear that's a wonderful thing in Israel to do.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Even the foothills in Jerusalem, there's all kinds of forests and hills. And they don't burn them down.
Yeah, recently we just suffered a lot of fires. We're very sorry about that.
Let me ask you all this. So for those of us in America, raising children in Israel, under the conditions that Israel has been up against for forever, for that matter, is much different than folks in America could even imagine. So can you share with us generally what that has been like? Kids grew
Up in this country, in the framework of like youth movements, and there's a lot of social groups all the time, these kids, and they have a lot of camaraderie, a lot of friendship growing up, and they're very tight. In fact, those kids we know love living here. They'll never leave. They're Zionists, and they love Israel, and they love their families, and they love where they live. It's a great country. There's a lot of freedom here. You don't have the fear of being attacked in the street by some rapist, something, or someone kidnapping you. Everything is fairly safe walking in the streets at nighttime in most cities. It's just a beautiful, beautiful country. The fact that see kids growing up loving the country is a big, to me, it's a big thing. And they're not talking about leaving Israel or going back to America or something. They want to stay here.
They want to stay. No, I understand.
We built a paradise, this country. It's wonderful. Beautiful.
But for you as parents as well, the attacks, whether they're from outside the country or even within the country over the last, God, you have been there 50 plus years now, Dave. To have children and to raise children with all this going on has got to be to some degree difficult. That's all I'm getting at. Okay. Tamara, do you want to say anything at this point?
So I'm thinking about how I want to phrase this for you. Me growing up in America as a Jew, and I was a very solidly identified Jew with a lot of background, education, synagogue, youth group, camp, aspiring to fulfill my identity, which for me, the number one priority was to make a life in Israel and to make a home in Israel. And Israel as a country is very grassroots, very startup nation, very modern. People are amazed that have never been here. They come and visit and they realize it's not a desert and it's not flat. And it's a thriving green oasis in the Middle East. Generally, up until October 7th, it was a country for all religions. Open, free, warm. For me, apolitical. Maybe I'm unusual. Maybe my eyes are more open now. But I spent 30 or the 29 years raising my kids to be open and liberal and thriving in a country for all religions, which is completely different than how I grew up. I grew up in America and I felt not permitted to live my life freely as an identified and practicing Jew. And we spoke already before. So also my history, my family came, part of my family, my mother's side of the family, came from Europe, where they were forced to leave. Their family, their roots were eradicated. So Israel is thriving, free, open, green, oasis, beautiful, a place where we feel fulfilled. And our children grow up here feeling what you're practicing, what you're thinking, what you're praying for, what you're doing, the land that you're caring for it's real. You're connected to it through your whole body, through your mind, through your spirit, through the language. Yeah. We speak to our children in Hebrew. They grow up speaking Hebrew. It's the language of 3,000 years connected to the stories of.
We speak English to them now. Speak English to them. But amongst themselves, they speak Hebrew. It's so weird to hear my kids sitting around in the living room, all speaking Hebrew to each other.
And in the streets and where we work and where we live our lives out in public, not in our own home, we use the Hebrew language.
And so, generally speaking, and let me just try to phrase it this way, you, over the last 50 or 30 years since you've had these children, have you lived in fear? I think that's my question. Have you lived in fear at all?
Only after October 8th.
There's been a few times where we've had battles and attacks and missiles and abilities and terrorist actions in Intifada, 2 of them.
Yeah.
A lot of stories there as well. The fear is always under the surface here.
Under the surface, but it's not on the surface where you're fearful to walk around, to live your lives. So last question for this part. Any regrets? Oh, let me talk to Dave. Dave, is there any point, there's 2 questions. Do you have any regrets? And was there ever a point where you said, I've had enough, I'm going to go back, I want to go back to Boston, back to America?
I tried 2 or 3 times over the years. I just threw the towel and I can't take it anymore. It's different culture, different language. I can't take the banking system. I can't take the drivers. I just I'm out of here and I just pack everything and leave. I go back to Boston 2, 3 months and say, what the hell I do? I come back to Israel, ask my friends, can I have my car back? Can I have my TV back? Can I have my bookshelf?
So you did do that. This was before he met you, though, Tamara. That would never have happened. After meeting you,
We have a home and children. Where are we going to go back to? I'm expecting my parents, I'm expecting them to come soon and spend their last segment of their life here.
Ah, very nice. No, since you all came together, there's no regret. You don't have any regrets. This is exactly, you both feel this is where you're supposed to be, right?
Yeah, this is the destiny. This is the wonderful paradise. I love it here.
It'd be nice to visit more places, but living here, there's no place else I can imagine living.
Yeah, nice. It's so nice, so beautiful here. It's why our enemies want to take it away.
There you go.
Or destroy it.
There you go. I tell you what, I think you all are just such lovely people. And I am grateful to have met you online, David. And I'm so grateful to have met you through David, Tamar. We're going to jump back in for part 2 because I want to chat with both of you actually about post-October 7th. We can't not talk about that. So I appreciate your time today. And this has just been a real pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great.
Nice to meet you.
Y'all as well. I just want to thank Dave and Tamara Silverman so much for sharing their amazing life story with us today. And as we wrap up, I've got to tell y'all that I personally find myself reflecting on the life of this man, whose journey is nothing short of epic. One marked by bold choices, steadfast courage, creative reinvention, and deep, enduring love. Dave Silverman's story is not only about the history he witnessed, but the legacy he chose to build day by day for nearly 50 years in the land he made his own, Israel. Imagine being 18 years old, fresh out of high school back in 1974, and choosing to spend a gap year on a kibbutz in Israel. That in itself is incredible. For many, it would have just been an unforgettable experience, but for Dave, it was a turning point because that year planted the seed of purpose that would grow into a lifetime of service and dedication. Dave's life story teaches us that the journey of a meaningful life isn't linear, it's layered. It is in the choices we make in quiet moments and the courage we summon when no one is watching. And finally, what I find so fascinating is that Dave continued to be drawn back to Israel by something. And I think that something just could have been what I have been learning a little bit about over the past year and a half. And that is about what is called the Jewish soul. And you know, I had never heard of this thing called a Jewish soul until the October 7th attempted genocide of the Jewish people in Israel. And a very good friend of mine, who y'all met in my earliest podcast, Sonia, told me that what I experienced on October 7th was the awakening of my Jewish soul. And of course, I kind of sloughed her off, but since then, I now truly understand that there is such a thing as a Jewish soul. I have learned that the Jewish soul is a quiet flame, steady, ancient, and resilient. It can lie dormant for years, even generations, and then in a single moment of clarity or crisis, it ignites. For Dave, it was clearly sparked after his gap year kibbutz experience. For others like me, it came on October 7th, 2023, when terror struck our people in Israel. That day wasn't just a tragedy, it was a reckoning. It reminded me and so many others that being Jewish isn't just an identity. It's a connection to a people, a history, and a purpose that transcends borders and time. And what's most powerful is that the spark can happen anywhere, anytime, when you least expect it. In a moment of grief, a flash of memory, a song, a prayer, a headline, it can come like a whisper or a lightning bolt. And what matters most to God isn't when the spark happens, but that it does. Because I have also learned that He is in control. He knows the moment. He sets the timeline. And when your soul stirs, it's because He has called it forward. Thank you for listening. Stay open to the spark, because it can come when you least expect it, and it can change everything. Until next time, stay curious, stay connected, and shalom. Thank you all so much for joining me today on A Journey to Milk and Honey. Just a quick reminder to jump onto our website at journeytomilkandhoney.com or jmhpodcast.com. You can also find us on Facebook at Journey to Milk and Honey as well. To find us on all other social media, including YouTube, X, Instagram, and Spotify, you can find us at JMH Podcast. And if you enjoy what we do here at A Journey to Milk and Honey, you can help support us by liking, subscribing, and leaving us comments and reviews wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thank you so much again, and shalom.